As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like topaz, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not change direction as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved. And when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the Spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood still. And when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels.
Written 600 BCE, or 2,600 years ago, by Ezekiel. He was a priest and a prophet in ancient Israel. Ezekiel is recognized for his visions and messages from God. He wrote the book of Ezekiel, which is one of the prophetic books in the Old Testament, which is included in the Jewish Bible and in the Christian Bible. Ezekiel describes a vision that he had of wheels that were covered with eyes. Other parts of the Bible would have us believe that the wheels would be angels that never sleep and that guard the throne of God. That the wheels move next to angels that are beneath the throne of God, or that the wheels were the actual wheels of God's heavenly chariot. What if we could go back in time to go see for ourselves the wheels that Ezekiel had described? Remote viewing is a technique that allows to travel in time and place in the mind. Remote viewing allows to connect a target that is distant in time and place to your mind, to then explore it in your mind, and to receive information about it, and to see, touch, and feel what is there. Remote viewing is done blind, which means that the remote viewer does not know ahead of time where they are going, and they only find out afterwards. Because the remote viewing is done blind, meaning that the remote viewer does not know what the target is ahead of time, this reduces guessing, reduces inserting of prior knowledge about a target, and reduces imagination. It makes the remote viewing more credible, but also makes it easier to do. I only look at a white blank screen with some random numbers on it, the target number. I record the impressions in my mind in writing and drawings. When I am finished, I can no longer add anything to my record, and I get to find out what the target was. I can then compare my data against the target to see if I went to the right place and to see what can be learned about the target from my data. This target was done blind. This means that I did not know ahead of time what my target was. The target could have been anything. This target, however, is not verified. meaning that I could have cheated to find out what the target was at any time. I can only say that I promise that I have not cheated, but you cannot know that. Here is the data I had when my mind was sent blind to go back in time to see the wheels that Ezekiel described. You heard how Ezekiel had described his encounter of the wheels. Here now follows how I have described when I have encountered those same wheels. The device has a cone-shaped top with its pointy end upward. Below the cone are several bars with empty gaps in between that connect from the bottom of the cone to another structure beneath it that is convex either upward or downward. And under the convex part are several thin bars like legs that connect to the ground. The top of the cone is not pointy, but has a blunt, convex end. Many small, square-shaped holes on the device, not fastened by many smaller objects, components, not made out of smaller parts, not compartmentalized, does not have many small empty compartments within it. No equipment inside that is electronic in nature, no electric wires. It has no wires on it, so it is not an electronic box. It is made out of several types of plastics that are not conductive to electricity. It is glossy, like blue reflective, it sparkles almost. It has glossy reflective surfaces. It looks blue, metallic shine. It is not made out of metal, not made out of metallic components. It feels soft, not metallic, soft, soggy almost, soft and squishy, not stone, not made out of wood, nothing fastened with glue, not glass-like, not impenetrable by light, tungsten or wolfram metal. Wolfram is German for tungsten metal. Lots of equipment inside, but I cannot yet figure out what it is. Lots of lightweight things, engineering equipment inside the device. Lots of things, but not in a mess, not disorganized. It has many small items inside, some bolts or screws. There are many buttons and gadgets inside. Lots of knobs and buttons. The buttons feel like vinyl, could be a word similar to plastic. Inside, button-shaped item interior surfaces. It has ropes or strings inside that transmit. It has something sharp that hurts me. There is a component inside the device which has a moving needle along a circular or semicircle ruler for measurement, what looks to me like millimeter and centimeter marks. It has a dial, a small window covered by like a transparent plastic window, underneath which is a semicircular ruler along which a needle can move to show a measurement. There is a thin prong inside the device. This prong has a 90-degree bend so that it is L-shaped. This prong moves, and as this prong is moved, it causes a connected other component that is below it to also move in response. There is like a big wheel inside. Inside the device is the ring rim component that is spinning around. The device has that ring rim horizontally set inside it, and this ring spins around, and this makes a sound when it spins, almost like a humming whir sound. The device makes a soft but audible whir sound from its moving parts. Flat, tooth-like prongs that go around the interior of the rotating rim ring. There are many horizontally set, flat prongs that go around in a circle inside the equipment. These look like teeth. The measuring equipment is set above these teeth within the pyramidal cone-shaped side of the structure. It has a mast on the top. The top has a small rod pointing upwards, and on that rod is a small wheel-shaped structure. Buttons and gadgets inside item. They release pressure. They are pressure gauges for vents, ventilation buttons. One side of the device has a turbine that spins around inside the device. There are air filters for the air vents. This is a rectangular, set in the vertical alignment, dark, somewhat flat object, with even darker horizontal lines spaced apart from top to bottom. It pumps in vents. A vent pump on the device pumps air either in or out, not as a continuous stream of air, but in larger amounts of air at once, and then with a break when no air is pumped. This entire device is bouncing up and down a bit rhythmically like an active machine as it sits on the ground. I see the device pumping the air in repeated gusts. It reminds me of as if there were an accordion in the device, something basic like that. The pumping motion of components that do the pumping causes the entire device to move about a bit in that same continuous rhythm. There is about one pumping every 2 seconds or faster. There is a huge, strong yellow light emitted from the top. It has a glorious glow. It looked as if this large horizontally set wheel rim thing was inside of a large room, and it emitted a large glow of light, a soft emission glow. But as the device rotates around or has spinning components, this causes the yellow light emission to shoot up into the sky. It sends a shining beam of light across the sky. So many photon packets. Origin, yellow light emitted. Photovoltaic cells. They emit the light. Purpose, yellow light emitted. Not to sign to any humans, not for communicating. Why yellow light emitted? Entrusted organ. I got the sense that the yellow light is emitted so that air traffic control can see the device and know that it is a trusted structure, so that no one is afraid that it is there, or perhaps even to let everybody know that it is there. It smells bad here, kind of like a vinyl plastic smell. It smells like old camera equipment. It smells like old radiology, like old tapes and cassettes, the smell. The smells smell like a spray paint or like canned oil. To me, it smelled kind of like hairspray. It repairs itself when it needs to be. It has self-repair mechanisms that are rather expensive on this equipment. It creates like an operational device that is made entirely on its own, entirely self-reliant. It does not fly up into the sky, it lands down softly, and then it repairs itself. It cost a lot of money to build this thing. It has been paid a lot of money for. It was made by a man who had a design in plan. He was mighty proud of his equipment. No one hesitated to make it. It was a clear plan to build it. Someone was very happy and pleased with it. Lots of education was required for those who assembled this device. It was not made by humans, perhaps, because I do not recognize some of the gadgetry. This was never televised or on the news. It is a far newer innovation. It is outdated, however. Newer ones have been made. But something old, something feels old and worn, like it is an outdated item. This is not the newest design. It is a very old device. It seems hundreds of years old. I cannot understand or fathom how it can be here when it is that old. Purpose, device: to collect mineral soil samples and to send that data back to Earth. It scoops up a soil sample and it does so where it lands on. Monitoring equipment: it takes loose soil samples and sends back the data. It feeds it to the inside. It scoops up a stone and analyzes it for mineral constituents. It is a measuring device equipment. It makes stamps on the ground and collects a soil sample. It picks up dirt and feeds it to the inside. It does not take any wet soil samples. The minerals need to be dry. It chucks in a soil sample with a spoon. It measures radon in mineral soil. Radon is a particle, not a radiation. It measures trace mineral elements. It takes data every day and it sends it back through a signal and sends the data back to some other place through a signal transmitted from it. It is an equipment that does measurements and uses radiation. It has monitoring equipment inside, and it monitors the soil quality, and it does so for educational purposes, for studies that are being made with the equipment data. It is a measuring equipment. It collects data from the environments and sends it then back to the central. Sends the data back to the central. Central feels to be another location, like an office or room in a building somewhere else. It is part of a measuring equipment that measures. It takes soil samples and distributes them internally. Distributes the soil samples internally inside the device. The two somewhat thick discs that are inside the device, these two that are different size from one another, these crush the stones that are fed to the machine by letting the stones or sand move through in between these two rotating discs. The stones get crushed as they pass through between the two rotating discs. Purpose, this target, to say wow about something, to make something amazing about this here. No water may get inside this device. This device must remain dry. This machine needs to stay dry. They just have to make sure that no moisture gets on it, no wetness inside, no rain gets into it. Top view. The area has old villages made out of stone, like stacked gray, irregular shaped, medium large stones that were stacked into walls, and small houses were built that way, with a very rural, if not primitive look. There's lots of shale on the ground. These are flat, irregularly bordered gray stones of varying sizes. The device was on the ground, on the shale stone ground, and seemed to have a rock wall or small rock cavern directly behind it. Sand gravel ground at the device. No plants grow around it. There is no grass around it. Nobody likes to be here. Nobody lives here. This is not in a settlement area. It glimmers in the sky, perhaps, but it doesn't come down from there. It drops up and down in the sky, a showcase item that was let loose. It was brought down to the ground. It does not fly up anymore. No life forms inside it. It does not carry passengers inside. In fact, there is no room for anyone to travel into. No life form owns it. No life forms here. There is nobody else here. Not picked up by anybody. Lots of people have looked at this device when this device was housed inside a building. He put it into a stall first, like a warehouse. This device was at first seen by a lot of school children, young children, that this device was at first stored inside a building where lots of people came to look at it, such as school trips for children who were not adult children, for educational purposes, to see this device, before this device was then put into the air. Many school children have looked and poked at this thing. It was seen in a classroom in a school. It was used for educational purposes. It was used to be taught. It was used for teaching. Lots of people have seen this thing and been confused about what it is. I saw a boy look at it, and he looked completely baffled and confused about what this is. It has no wings to fly with. It has no door to get inside. We cannot go inside. No window glass. There is no fuel pump inside. It does not use liquid fuel, not combustible engine. It is not a rover, it cannot drive. It does not travel on any roads. It has no eyes inside for optics. It has no nose to sniff with. It cannot sense air chemical traces. No counting equipment. No thing like counting clock electronics. It is not a weather maker. It is not a weather machine. It does nothing to the weather. No text to read. Nothing has been written here. It doesn't have any written records on it. It is not hot to touch. It is not cold here. In fact, it feels like nothing. It has no water inside. It has no water flowing on it. No wind inside or air currents inside. It doesn't crumble easily. It has no radon technology. It cannot measure itself. It knows not about itself. It just sends back data to the central through a radiation mechanics. But it does not talk to itself. It has no cognizance of itself. It doesn't go deep underground. It doesn't hide in any caves. It is not holy, but I like it. It has nothing religious about it, nothing holy or godlike or benign, nothing impudent either. We cannot sit anywhere on it, no sofas or chairs to sit on. It is not a powerful weapon of any kind. It is rather gentle, in fact, not a victim-making weapon. It was not made to hurt anybody. It does no harm. It is not a weapon of mass destruction. It doesn't cause any harm to anyone. It is not mean. It has no anger. It doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't feel mean to me. It doesn't feel unpeaceful, not harmful to anybody. No rips or tears, but will be, indicating that later in time structure or parts of structure will be ripped and torn. It has torn and ripped. Something has broken it apart. No resilience fabric, nothing that is meant to last, things that will wear down over time, things that get rips and tears. This is fascinating to me. Wow, this thing is mesmerizing. A very fascinating place. Under it is something funny that makes people laugh, something amazing that people feel great joy out of. Wow, this thing is impressive. Wow, I really love being here. A funny thing almost. Nobody likes this thing. It is not being revered for anything. It is not significant for anybody. Nobody looks at it and goes, "This is the greatest thing ever." It is mesmerizing to me. I would have paid a lot of money for this myself. This is amazing. I cannot get enough of this thing. Let's look at it closer. Nobody likes to be here, but oh wow, it doesn't want to be touched. It feels fussy. It rejects me. It repels me. It doesn't want anybody here. It is not a bad equipment. It is very nice. It doesn't mind being looked at. It can be seen by everybody. It doesn't do anything. In fact, it is more of a concept, even though it is real. On this target, I encountered a device which had in its center a large ring rim, which I also called a wheel. Above this ring was a cone-shaped structure, and underneath the ring there was a convex, cup-shaped structure. These three parts were connected by thin bars with wide empty gaps in between. The interior space of the device had lots of buttons and gadgets. The top of the cone had a thin mast, and on top of the mast was another smaller ring rim or wheel. The large ring was rotating or spinning around, and as it did, it was creating a soft whir sound. The session data I had emphasized that there was nothing religious or holy about this target. The data informed that the device is not a weapon. I did not see any life forms other than the old man who had built this device and the boy and other school children who were looking at this device in order to learn about it. There was no life form on the device, and no chairs or throne to sit on, and no door to get inside the device. I did not encounter any angels or God or other mythical beings. The time period I described as being primitive. I saw residential homes that had been built with walls out of stacked stones. The interior of these walls in the homes had not been plastered to make the walls smooth. I think I definitely went to the correct target because I had the wheels. I am not so impressed with the device itself. It was pretty basic technology and rather underwhelming. Instead, the lasting impression that I leave with is how different the worldview of Ezekiel from his time and his perspective is to mine. What to him was a religious object from God and angels was, in my worldview and my perspective, just a technological device that was being used for educational purposes to collect information about the composition of trace mineral elements in soil samples. The only question remains: what was such a device doing in the times of Ezekiel?